Okay, I'm going live again. And this time I'm going live from the car after the episode. Hi everyone. So many lives. I am going to go live with Xavier, the writer of tonight's episode. I hope you guys all enjoyed and loved the episode so far. This is definitely not the most ideal lighting. Say hi, Ford. He's like, Mom, why are we pulled over on the side of the road? There's been a lot of accidents on the freeway. Everyone, please drive safe. And so I didn't make it home before the next live. So I am going to go live with Xavier. Let's see. Haha. Hi. Hi. Oh. I just waved back. Here. Perfect. See if we got a good connection. Hi!
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 How are you?
By the way, someone did your infamous, like, hi, or bye, that you always do the other day, and I was like, like, it's just, anyways, it warms my heart. I don't even know if
funny.
they knew what they were doing.
You know, I can't take full credit for it. Like, I use it so much, yes, that people in my life pick up on it. But it was a season of RuPaul's Drag Race back in the day, like season 5. Okay, the first time it was done was actually in season 1. It was on Gina. But in season 5, Alaska did it, and it like caught fire. And what's so funny is my roommates and I would watch it, and we like could not stand it at first. We were like, what is this high? It like pierces your brain. And then one day we lived in a townhouse, so I was like in the living room, and she was walking down the stairs to go out the front door, or she had got home from class, and I was like, hi, and she was like, hi, and we were both like, and ever since it's a signature.
It really is a signature. And have you talked to Barrett about this? Does she know, since I know that she's such a huge fan of RuPaul's drag show? Drag show.
Oh, BB.
I know! I'm the worst!
Okay, so that tells me that I have work to do. Okay, we will watch it. Like, we will all watch it. Yes, Barrett and I have had many conversations about Drag Race and about Real Housewives. Listen, reality television. Yeah.
I love that I already put my foot in my mouth. I'm like, listen, I know I'm not going to know anything about it. I'm sorry.
Listen, you're trying your hardest, and for that I appreciate it. But yes, we can do better, and we're working on us. We're working on us every day.
We are, and now you're gonna have to school me. We're having a date nights, and I'm gonna be watching RuPaul's Drag Race. And now that I know it's race.
Are you in your car right now?
I am. I'm in my car. I was trying to like make it home, but the traffic and there's some accidents. It looks like they shut down the freeway, so I finally was like, I pulled over, and this is how we're doing it. Great lighting, though, right?
Actually, it hits you just right. Listen, I want everyone watching this just to know Danielle's commitment to giving y'all a takeover, because she is doing it from her car. Presumably Ford is right beside her.
He's like, Mom, what are we doing? Why?
Probably tuckered out.
He is. He was playing with his sister all day today, too. But he is like, Mom, when are we going to be home? I'm sorry. And then he'll pass out. He's used to me now. He's like, oh, she's working. She's on her phone. So did you get to see your episode tonight? Have you watched it?
I didn't watch it tonight because I was actually on set for Grey's, and I just got home. But I have seen the finished product. So
are you happy? Are you proud? Are you all the things?
So happy. So many feelings. Like, oh, don't mind me, y'all. I'm not going to get emotional on this here live. But, like, it was just such a joyful experience. And I was really excited because Station 19's never done a Christmas episode.
Never.
So whenever it, like, worked out in the schedule that way, and then I was assigned the episode, I was like, I don't know. It was just, like, really fun to do a new thing. Because 5 seasons deep, we, like, when a new thing comes along, you get excited.
I remember when we got the script, I was like, oh my God, we're doing a Christmas episode. We're doing a Christmas episode.
Right?
But then I read it and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so dark. Like, it was fantastic. And I cried, but I was like, oh my gosh. Like,
okay.
This is going to tear everyone's hearts out. And it did. I was bawling my eyes out when we shot it. I bawled my eyes out when I watched it. I'm sure everyone here was bawling their eyes out.
Okay, dark
Oh,
is a word for it. That's a
not
word
dark. Yes.
that one could use, and it is probably applicable. But I like to think that there's a nice catharsis to it. Like, I like to think that like we get through the darkness, and on the other side is like some twinkly Christmas lights and some sunshine. That's
Well, yes, and the woman does leave her husband, and Terrence does survive. For anybody who hasn't watched it yet, sorry.
Oh yeah, sorry, West Coast.
West Coast, you didn't see that. Listen, you're still gonna bawl your eyes out and love it.
Okay, yes. To preface,
But
West Coast, that there will probably be spoilers in this chat. So if you have not watched, I think Danielle's going to save it onto the. I don't know how live works, y'all, but I think.
yep. I will save it onto the Station 19, and I will make sure not to give any more spoilers. But it does end on a happier note.
Okay,
So
I think
and
spoilers are okay now that we've like prefaced it.
okay,
You
good. Okay.
Light spoilers.
Okay. Light spoilers. There we go. I won't give away too much. I'm the worst. Like a little sprinkle.
But yeah, so I was on set, so I haven't fully been able to see it tonight, but I've been following along with everyone's tweets, and people seem to be enjoying it. I mean, there are strong opinions always, but that's what makes a show, you know?
Yes. It's so true. And it's interesting. Like everybody I've talked to today, I know how amazing our fandom is for Station 19 and obviously Grey's, but
Yes.
but it's, both Jock and Peter mentioned that we really do have such an amazing fan base, and we really do. But that does come with strong opinions, like one way and the other.
It's interesting because, people have very strong opinions because they care. They care about characters, they care about the stories that we're telling, they care about the ships and the couples, and like they get really invested. I remember being, I still get like that with television, but especially being younger, like I watched Grey's when I was a teenager, and I remember how invested I was in my couples and my ships, and then anything that happened I'd be like, ah! So I get it. But I think that's also part of the magic.
Yeah. And it's the passion. It's like you have passion for the shows that you love. I feel like that with all the shows that I'm into, so I get it. Well, I'll ask you some questions if you want to have some questions.
Ready.
Yeah.
I will try to answer to the best of my ability. We'll see.
You speak so eloquently every time I talk to you that I don't think you'll have a problem ever. Between like you and Barrett are the two people that every time you talk, it's like, gosh, I stumble over my words. I can't find the right words. It never sounds eloquent. Like, that's why I was meant to be an actor, simply because I need somebody to write what I'm going to say. But you and Barrett, every time you guys talk, I'm like, how did that come out of your mouth so easily? It's true.
I think you think you're more fumbly than you actually are.
Maybe it's just because I'm so hyper all the time.
Just bouncing around, honey.
Yeah, it's a lot of laughing and like trying to keep one sentence together. Anyways, stop blubbering. Okay, writer questions for you, just being a writer. When did you know you wanted to be a writer?
Ooh, okay. This is such a good question.
Yeah.
I always kind of liked to story tell, as all people or most people who I feel like are in our industry, like we all had it in us from a very young age. And I remember in 7th grade, I was just kind of like, it was, middle school. It was that time. It was like, oh, did I hear a little echo? I heard an echo.
Did you echo?
I did echo. Okay, we're moving along. The train is going to keep going. Cool. It was in middle school. Middle school is a hard time in a lot of ways. Like I moved to a new school, and I was in a super rural area, and it was super interesting. So I really dove into writing, and I was like, I'm going to create television shows, and this is a thing that I'm going to do. And I didn't even really know what that was. Like I was basically writing a soap opera on paper, and it was a good time. And then in high school, I started really diving into television, and I always joke that my holy television trinity was Grey's Anatomy, One Tree Hill, Desperate Housewives.
Ooh.
And then the second tier, PR and Charmed. Like I went head first into that. I don't know. It was a very specific time in television, I feel.
Yeah.
And I remember it was the season. This is so specific, but it was the season 3 DVD extras for Grey's Anatomy, and Shonda's giving this interview about how she started the season with a dress on the floor with Izzy's prom dress, and she ended the season with a dress on the floor with Christina's wedding dress. And it was in that moment that my brain was like, oh, like, this is a job that someone has. Like, this is a thing that you can do. So
Yeah.
from then on, I knew I wanted to be a screenwriter. I knew I wanted to write television. I knew I wanted to write hour-long drama. I knew I wanted to go to USC for grad school. Like, a lot of things just really clicked into place at a pretty young age. But yeah.
How old were you again then? What was the exact age?
I was around 14.
Amazing. And you were writing, but like, what were the things you said you were just like writing? What were you writing?
So when I was so this would have been a little younger than 14, so probably like 12-ish is when I started writing, like, okay, like every good Southern gal, I would be at my grandparents and we would be watching we would be watching, all the soaps with your grandparents. So I remember thinking like, oh, I'm just going to write a show about my friends and I, just like using our names and I just write the synopsis for each episode. So
Oh my gosh.
and I started doing it in 7th grade, and it was such an escape for me and such just like a fun, I don't know, just like a fun thing to do. And it's something that I still write in today. Like if I need to escape, I just like still go into that. There's like 500 episodes, just this episode synopsis, like half a page. And it's like 27th season. And it's just like my go-to escapism. And it brings me joy.
Oh my gosh. You were meant to be a writer.
That's a fun fact. I don't tell people that. So our little fireside chat with all these people, now all y'all know.
I'm getting all of it out of you. Oh my God. That's actually beautiful.
I mean, you get it. Like, you were a child actor. So, like, you know what it's like to kind of have that thing young, right? Would you say?
Yeah, it's definitely it's just in you. But acting's so different because, like, just acting by yourself, you just start looking a little crazy. Like, it's, at some point you're like, okay, I'm just talking to myself on the corner. Like, you do. I do have to say that going back to something Peter and I were talking about, because of social media, you have so many outlets now. Like, it's so amazing that if you do want to be an actor or director, the creative outlets, writers too, but the creative outlets to be visual and to act and do things constantly are at your fingertips with technology these days.
The game has changed.
It's completely changed, but I do love that, like, I now could like do an entire, like, if I wanted to be an actor and like do some like videoing and film myself and do something, I wouldn't be just a crazy person talking.
You're like, it's a one-woman play, honey. Get off the
exactly. At least I could do that, right? But no, that's really beautiful. I love that. And so, wait, you have like 500 episodes.
Okay.
Synopsises of this. Okay, I'll stop. This will be my last question about it. I just have to know: is that what you were saying? It's like 500.
It sounds. Okay, so let me say, it sounds more extra than it is, but also it's just
amazing.
It's like, yeah, it's just like, when I say episodes, though, I truly mean, like, in the early seasons, they were just a paragraph, because I was, like, 14, 12, like, young. But now, like, there'll be, like, a half a page will be an episode now. And it's, like, basically a soap opera. There's a million characters, they're all going through things, and it's just, like, it's, like, what's great about it now is that if I get bogged down with, like, writing, like, trying to work on a project or writing an episode and I just need to kind of clear my head, it's a thing that I can go to, and there are truly no rules. There are no rules in that world. Anything goes, and that frees me up, and it allows like the creative juices to kind of flow again. So it's been really helpful in that way.
I love that. Okay, I'm not going to ask any more questions. I know this is your private little thing. I'm going to let it go.
Now it's our private little thing as well as 2,100 other people.
Well, I love it, and thank you for sharing that. I think that's absolutely beautiful. I hope that inspires. I think what you just did was you inspired a lot of people to feel that even writing a little paragraph is something. It's a place to start.
Okay, here's the thing. People say, okay, this is my opinion, but people say writers write every day, and I think that's true, but I think that statement can also be daunting when you think like, oh, writers have to write pages and pages every day, and I don't think that's true. Like, to me, writing every day means some days I'm just thinking of story and brainstorming, and I don't put a single word on the page, but I'm still like actively thinking through things, and I think that's an important thing. If you're up and coming and you hear this notion that writers have to write every day, like, it's okay if you're also thinking is writing sometimes. Like you're working through your story. A lot of this work that we do is in our heads, and like, of course you have to get it on paper at a certain point, but I don't know, just take that if you want to be in this business, that like, so if you're thinking about your story, then you're doing the work,
That's amazing. Seriously.
That's just my opinion. I know people would differ, but
that's an amazing opinion. Yes, people can have different opinions, but I think that opinion is pretty, excuse my language, but fucking great. So
She said what she said. She meant what she meant.
Yes. So then how did you come to write on Station 19? I'm sure it's a much longer story, but like,
Okay.
I guess maybe the synopsis version.
I will give the Cliff Notes version.
Cliff Notes, that's the version,
so
yeah.
I went to USC for grad school for screenwriting.
Mm-hmm.
I had one of my great friends was in the cohort above me, and she was a writer's PA on Grey's Anatomy in season 14. So there were 2 Grey's writer's PAs because it's a really big writer's room. And at the end of season 14, one of them left, and my friend was like, hey, send me your resume. So I sent in my resume, and I, applied, got the job, was super excited. So for season 15, I was a writer's PA at Grey's Anatomy. Okay. And season 16, I was promoted to executive assistant for Andy Reeser and Meg Marinas, which is also why I called them my TV mom and dad, just because they're icons. Adore them so much. They really looked out for me, taught me all the things. And it was really fun working for both of them too, and like learning and understanding. And then in season 16, it's also when I started like the acting and whatnot. And then toward the end of that season, I got selected to do the Disney writing program. So the point of that program is to place you on a Disney show, basically, which includes ABC. So we went to that program. We were there for like a month, and then COVID happened. And then basically we wrote a pilot, and in April of 2020, they sent us out, and I believe they reached out to Krista because she had given me a letter of recommendation, and they were like, would you want to staff from one of your shows? And she called me, and she was like, I don't have room for you on Grey's because the room is huge, but I would love for you to be on Station 18 for you to act on Grey's. And that's kind of how that all happened.
That was such a good like Cliff Notes version. I was like, yeah, mm-hmm.
You're like,
and like you hit the points and the beats, and yes, I love that, and I love that I love that you act on Grey's too. I mean, for anyone that doesn't know, your character Xander on Grey's, like, come on. And how did that role come to be on Grey's?
Okay, so Xander, it was, I don't know, like in my second season there, I was on Andy and Meg's desk, and I think Andy honestly was just kind of like hell-bent on getting a character on the show based off of me, just because I would say funny things in the office. This is my understanding of it. I would say funny things in the office, and he was like, this would be fun. And that season we were at PAC North, so it was like a great opportunity to kind of have a sassy character. So I landed in a script. I read the character at the writers' table read, which is where the writers get together and read it. I read that character at the table read, and I was so excited because I was like, oh, the character has made it. Like, there's going to be like a character maybe that's kind of inspired by me in the show, which was really exciting. And then one day we were in Andy's office, and I think Andy and Krista had already talked about this, but Krista was like, I think you should just play him. And I was like, oh, yeah.
But were you so scared when they said that?
Oh my gosh. Yes. I mean, like, I'm the type of person who I try to say yes to things, even if they scare me, especially if they scare me. So when she asked me, I think I definitely had a moment. And I was just like, yeah. And then she was like, do you have any acting experience? And I'd done a couple shorts in grad school, but outside of that, not a ton. And I told her that, and I auditioned and everything, and I got the part. And it was so cool just to go through that process formally, to get a taste for what it was.
Had you ever auditioned for anything prior?
I had not.
Were you so scared? I get nervous at auditions, and I've been doing this a long time. Like, you must have been so nervous.
I was so nervous, but the thing is I'd already been there a year and a half as an assistant. Like, and when you're an assistant, you are running around the lot everywhere. You're getting to know everyone, all the other assistants, all the higher ups, because you're just so in it and really helping coordinate things. Yeah. So the thing that was magical about it is I didn't feel as scared because I felt protected. Like, everyone went out of their way from the minute I auditioned to filming my first scene with Debbie Allen to make me feel so comfortable. Yeah. And I wouldn't have gotten that anywhere else. And can I also just say, like, I was thinking this tonight while I was on set. I was like, our crews on both Station 19 and Grey's Anatomy are just the best.
Yeah, they are.
And our cast, our crew, like our showrunner Krista, like they like went out of their way just to make it a smooth, beautiful experience for me. And then it stuck.
Then you're like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm here.
And now they can't get rid of me. Just kidding. But yeah, so it was really cool, and that's kind of how that process went.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
Yeah. Let go.
This is not a question, so don't get mad if I did, because it's not in the question list. Is it hard to balance acting on Grey's and having to still write on station? Because you have to go back and forth.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to balance. I think because Krista runs both shows, both shows have the same showrunner, it makes it way more doable than if I was trying to do this under two different people, because Krista knows, Krista's my boss. She knows like where I'm at. Like she wants me to be on camera, I'll be on camera, it's exciting. But I also personally just try to always prioritize the writing. And the reason I say that is because if you're on camera, you're on camera. Like you have to do that. The train does not stop really. So, so she's triggered. She's triggered. My safe word is Brittany Jean. My safe word is Brittany Jean. You're welcome to use it. So I prioritize the writing always, and that way, even if I'm on set and there's something I need to be thinking about or have to do, like I try really hard to make that happen. And Krista and Kylie Donovan, who is one of the head writers on Station 19 and also a writer on Grace, make that happen for me, and I'm super grateful for that.
Amazing. So it helps. That whole it's a collaborative process.
It's
of
a team,
everyone is there to Amazing.
Yes, absolutely.
You kind of already touched on this, but is there anything you'd want to add? What advice would you give to any aspiring writers out there?
I think something that I don't want to say held me back, but that concerned me when I was younger, I guess, is I had this notion that if I wanted to be a writer, I had to do something else in order to earn a living to then pursue writing. And along the way, I realized that that's not true. And the thing that was most effective for me was releasing that and saying, like, I want to be a writer. I'm going to commit to this 100%. Like, I don't half-step anything. So I was like, if I'm going to be a writer, I'm going to be a writer.
Yes.
So I think if it's something you want to do, whether it be writing or acting or painting or anything, like, I think just to the best of your ability and your means, just go for it. Like, hit the ground running unapologetically.
I love that. I love that. So some questions. I love that I just love that. We'll talk later. Some Station 19 questions. What challenges do you face writing from the perspective of a first responder? Sorry.
Oh, interesting.
Or do you face any? Is it not? Is it like, because it's a question, I'm not a writer, but like for you, like, are you just like, no, it's because it's like just like any other person?
Oh, Emily's giving us a hard time. Emily, she's literally in the next room. For me, like the first responder, we have people that we can ask questions to and who fill in the gaps. And we have, researchers and a lot of people who help aid in information, which is really helpful. For me, I actually love and think it's more helpful that we get to write about first responders, because as a writer, the stakes are always built in. Like, they are always like, you always have someone you have to save, whether it be Station 19 or Grey's Anatomy. Like, if it's life or death, someone's house is on fire, like the stakes are there. Like, you just have to write to that. So I find it an advantage, because if we were writing an ensemble about, like, I don't know, architecture, like, it could be interesting and fascinating and beautiful and lovely, but like, hopefully you don't have to worry about someone bleeding out, and that adds stakes to the show.
That makes sense. I never thought about that. That's what was like, it's an interesting, yes.
I like your brain is like, ooh.
Well, because also you're right. Like it is a disadvantage. If you were a real firefighter, first responder, and were trying to write, you'd probably be so strict about having to follow protocol and things that the way they are, instead of actually just because it's your job and you're like, oh, it has to be done a certain way. Like if Brian Cummings wrote it, he would write it, by the book.
Yes. But the thing that even, I think it's like working a muscle, like Chief Cummings at this point is like, if you want that story, we will make it work. It might be a stretch, but like, we'll stretch,
But that's what's so great is that, again, this collaborative nature of like, he's like, that's not really something that would happen that I would have thought of as a writer and as a creative. You thought of it. Now let me work my magic to make this something that could realistically happen.
Come on, magic.
Love it. Okay. What type of scenes are your favorite to write? This is actually, I don't know this answer for you. Sexy, funny, dramatic,
Okay.
Heart-wrenching. What do you
I
think?
love, if my episode tonight was any indication, I love
I know.
I I love a really dramatic scene. Like my favorite thing to write across the
Hmm.
board are monologues. I love
Mm.
a monologue. So like, oh wow, hold on, I'm having a moment. I just love a monologue. So those are my favorite things to write, and those typically come in more dramatic moments. And I think the reason I love them so much, especially I have found working in TV and at Station and Grays, like our monologues are opportunities for us to learn about our characters too, because whether it's just the cadence in which they speak, like,
Mm.
I don't know, I feel like you can learn so much from a monologue, and there's so much you can put into a monologue, and there's so much that the monologue reveals. So like those are my favorite scenes to write, I would say.
Amazing. I love that. And you give great monologues.
Wait, I'm gonna
Here's
ask you a
one.
question. Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
What?
I'm gonna ask you a question because
Excuse
I'm
me.
curious, what are your favorite scenes to play in that
Oh,
same?
I would have to say that. I would have to say the
Oh,
monologues, the dark stuff. Like, I love that. I love it. The funny stuff, you know me, it makes me uncomfortable because I don't think I'm funny, and I
you're
think
so good though.
I know. I thank you for everyone says that when I do it, but I just feel so uncomfortable because I'm like, is this funny at all? Like,
It always is. It always is. It always lands. The people in these comments better be hyping you up and being like, girl, you are hilarious, because you are. You're so funny. But I understand gravitating toward the dramatic stuff because I feel similarly.
it just feels like I feels more, it comes more naturally, which the funny stuff scares me. Sexy stuff is always fun, but it depends on your scene partner. I've been lucky enough to have Stefania for the last 3 years, so it makes it very easy, and we have so much
Icon.
fun.
We love her. Oh my goodness. I love me some Stefania.
Oh, love her to death. I'm sorry, everyone's like, why is she not on? I was like, guys, we have to know. Today is putting focus on the writer and the director and the guest star. Me and Stefania, we gave a live last week.
Ooh. Oh.
So maybe we'll give another one for the holiday. But yeah, it's like, there's certain scenes that are fun, but the ones I feel the most invested in are when you get that. And man, like, does our show, like the writers of Station 19, write some amazing monologues. Like I was just watching one today that Carlos gave, and like
Oh.
I've watched Sullivan give, like, there's some, trying to think
Yeah.
of some of the other recent ones I've watched. Like, the monologues are just good on this show, and as an
I mean,
actor to get that is, oh.
we have a yeah. It's honestly my favorite, probably my favorite thing also about one of my favorite things about this world, and like the show that Krista has crafted, and it's very in tune with her voice, like that monologue style also. And our writing staff is also just incredible. So I agree with you. Thank you.
It's fun. Thank you for giving us such great material to work with.
It's great.
uh, um is there a Station 19 character you feel you identify with the most,
Ooh.
or you're
That,
like, no, I identify with Xander and Xander only?
I mean, come on, when it's right. I think, as a writer, I try to find something about each character that I can relate to. I feel like it's important as someone who has to kind of get in their heads and think about their journeys to do that. I mean, obviously, Travis is someone I relate to because he is a gay man on the show. Even though
Mm.
I'm gay femme, he him pronouns are great. Thank you. I Vic, because I don't know, she's just iconic. Like all of, like, I Maya, because she, because of her background a little bit, there are things I relate to there. Like I try to find, like, Andy, because of like losing a bit, like they're just, I try to find something in everyone. So I'm gonna say everyone.
Yeah.
But a cop out answer, maybe.
I That's a great answer, though. From a writer's perspective,
Yeah.
it makes sense because you can see yourself in every person. You write for everybody on the show. I don't know if
Yeah.
people understand that. Like, when you're
Yeah.
writing an episode, you're writing for everybody. So you've got to
Yeah.
understand everyone's perspective. So that's
Wasted.
beautiful to see what you latch in, like what you lock into with each person.
Thank you.
I love that. What has been your favorite Station 19 moment of the season so far?
Oh,
That might be hard.
hold on. I got this. I can do this. Okay. 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 I got it.
Yeah.
So in the prepare, which Krista wrote, there is a line where Theo tells Andy that she is the Phoenix and she rises. And when I tell you, I get emotional. Like, because that's not only for that character. Like, when I first read it, Krista's draft, and read that, I literally emailed her. I was like, oh my gosh, obsessed with this line. And it's so indicative of not only Andy's journey, I feel, and what she's been through so much, and this idea that she can still rise. I think it's indicative of each and every single character on the show's journey. That's what our show is about. It's about like overcoming and rising and being there for each other. So when he said that to her, it hits. It hits. So that's probably not only one of my favorite moments of the season, but one of my favorite moments of the series.
Do you feel like a little bit that is also tied to the world we're living in currently, and just the simple fact that all of us are like,
I'm sure.
It's been a rough 2 years.
Waiting to exhale.
Yeah. Like, I wonder if that's also like, we all need a little like motivation that we're going to rise from this. And like,
so true. I mean, and think of like iconic moments too. A moment can be iconic, yes, but it's also a lot of times iconic because of when it hits.
Yeah.
It hits right time. Like, we've seen that with television shows and whatnot. So I think you're absolutely right in that, like, we all needed to hear that.
We're like, yes.
We're like, thank goodness. Some wisdom.
Please. That's how I get most of my wisdom, is just from reading our scripts. I'm like, oh yeah. I wish I had these scripts a heck of a long time ago.
You cracked me up.
This is a funny little question. Would you rather write a musical episode or a foreign destination episode of Station 19?
Ooh, okay. I would say a foreign destination episode.
Where would you go?
I mean, come on. Written in, like, that's just what you
You're frozen.
have to do, right?
Where'd you? Oh, you froze.
Oh wait, am I back?
You're back. Wait, where would you? I heard you say, "Come on," and then it froze. So okay, I was like, where would you go?
It would be fun to go to like Italy. Like, I feel like that would be fun. I feel like that's a thing that's really built in to our show. I think, there are I
wonder who would go to Italy. That's so bizarre.
I don't know. We'd have to wait. Maybe Xander? Like, is Xander taking an Italian vacation? Who's to say?
And he just casually runs into Maya and Karina on like a vacation.
I mean, listen, who's to say? But I think that'd be so fun. And I was literally talking to someone the other day about a musical episode of Station 19 and how. Well, only because we were talking about the Greys musical episode, and I know that people have very strong opinions on the Greys musical episode. I personally love it. I think to do a musical episode, especially at that time, like, everyone did a musical episode. And I thought Grace was so smart, and how it was like Callie's injury, and it was songs that the show had made popular. And I just think that is so great that we just shouldn't mess with any more musical episodes. Like, I don't know. I think I'd rather see a foreign destination for that question.
And I feel, again, like a testament to the times. I feel like all of us really, really, really want to fantasize about traveling, because it's just not really something anybody's doing right now.
I think you're on. You are completely on it. You are, yes, what she's having.
I'm like, let's go travel. People need, let's just, even if we're not really going somewhere, I'll go on a fake trip. I'll do that.
I know that you're in your car right now petting Ford, and you're like, travel. Like,
and I am. He's over here, and I'm just like petting his ear. He's licking my hand. It's the whole thing. Hi, bub.
You're so funny.
Oh my god.
Okay, these are great.
Crazy. Okay, what are your goals for the show, and how do you hope the Station 19 universe will grow? Like, where do you see the show going, or what do you want to gain from it the most?
Oh, that's a good question.
It is a pretty loaded question. I'll give you that.
Yeah. And I think I just personally, as a fan, I was a fan of Station 19 before I started working on it. Similar, like, I was a fan of Grace before I started working there. And what I want for the Station 18 characters, I just want to continue to see them come into their own. I continue to see them grow into themselves. I want to continue to see them overcome challenges. And I want to continue to see that family lean on each other as they navigate it all. I think as long as that is at the center of it for me, I'm game. I'm good,
Yeah.
What about you? Wait, what about you? I'm curious. Do you have a thought?
Like, how do I want it to grow?
Yeah. I
It is an interesting question. It's a loaded question too. I feel the same with you. I really want to see the characters as they continue to evolve. Where I differ in the sense that I'm an actor and you're a writer is that you can foresee, as the other writers in the show, you guys are really planning out where you see the characters going and what you want to see with the characters. And for me, I'm so much more like along for the ride. Like, of course, there's so many things that I would love to see Maya do and experience, but you guys come up with such better things than I ever could have imagined. I mean, when the scene was written last year where I go up to my dad and I tell him I'm getting married to a woman and this is who I am. I wouldn't have thought that episode that scene needed to be written or should have been written, or I could have imagined it. And you guys wrote it. And I remember just like crying when I read that scene. I was like, this scene needs to happen.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy that we're putting it on network television. And yeah, so where I want to see the show go is beyond my imagination, because I can't even imagine the things that you guys are going to think up and the beautiful work that you guys are going to do. So I'm excited, and I'm excited.
Making me blush.
It's true. And I'm excited to be on a show that really focuses on the characters and their emotional and mental journeys, and not just on the actual incidences, even though the incidences are just as important. The 2 incidences tonight in the episode are so amazing and touch on such important subjects.
I really love those incidents, so thank you.
Yeah, they're great. They're great. Okay, let's see. Okay, episode. Oh my God, I have so many questions for you. I'm like, okay, what do we? Okay, good. Wait, I was like, let me know, because last time I was like panicked and I was like, oh my God, I'm late for the episode, but I really don't want to stop talking to Peter. I was like, let me check this time. No, we're good. We're good. How much of your own emotional vulnerability goes into writing an episode, like the one that airs tonight? Like, how much is there?
All of it. So much. Okay, maybe not all of it, but like 99% of it. So much of it. You know, as writers, in order for us to do our jobs well, I feel it's like we really, you got to put yourself in it. You got to put yourself in it. You got to leave it on like an athlete would leave it all out on the field. A sports reference, call me sports fight. A writer has to leave it all on the page.
Stop. Did you just say a sports reference, call me Sporty Spice?
I'm shook. I don't know who I am anymore, especially because literally in the Grace episode, spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't, West Coast, spoiler alert for the Grace episode, it's a little thing. My character looks at another character who just made a sports reference and literally says gross. I don't know what's happening to me. I need a moment. Hold on. Okay, cool. I'm bringing it back. Recentering.
I'm writing that line that you just said down, and I'm forever remembering it. Like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I just made a sports reference. Call me Sporty Spice. Oh, what happened? Why is it pausing? Here we go.
Good. So yes, very that. But all of it. Every bit of it.
Everything is in there. It's even bringing you to references to sports. I fucking love that. I can't get over it right now.
Sorry, y'all, that this live is literally Danielle and I cackling at each other. Cool.
Vein is popping out of my head. I'm cackling so much. Do you have this vein too, by the way?
I think everyone has it, but some people's are just more pronounced.
It's so frustrating. The only thing that ever made me feel good about it is like some amazing like actresses that I love have it too. Like Angelina Jolie has it, so I'm like, okay, I'm okay. She has it.
You're like, don't mind me, just me and Angelina over here.
Not to make that comparison by any means, but at least we both have the line in our forehead.
Oh my goodness.
As I get excited, it really becomes pronounced, and it's quite embarrassing.
Let's save space. Brittany Jean.
Is this a RuPaul Drag Race reference too, Brittany Jean?
It's just actually RuPaul once said that her safe word was Shaka Khan, so maybe that's what started it. So I was like Britney Spears. Her middle name is Brittany Jean.
I did not know her middle name was Jean, and I'm a huge Britney Spears fan, but obviously not that big.
I mean, I'm a big Britney Spears fan. Like, have been since I was young. So listen, you're in good company.
We're talking about Britney Spears the next time we hang out.
Game.
Next pancakes is with Britney Spears. It's happening.
Extra chocolate chips, please.
Yeah. We gotta space it out though, so that 4 hours we don't get kicked out.
Oh, listen, it happens to the best of us.
We're like talking about stuff. They're like, let's talk about it. Okay. How do you tackle writing about subject matter such as domestic abuse, which is touched on in this episode?
Yeah, it's that this particular instance, it was easier because domestic abuse is something that I have seen, up close and personal. Like my mom's a survivor of domestic abuse, and she came out.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, she came out on the other side of it, like super strong. And I mean, she was strong all along, but she came out of it even stronger. And that she's who I draw my strength from. So like having seen that and grown up with it a little bit, like writing it in this episode, it was authentic to me, and I could come from a real place in writing that. But sometimes there are subjects that maybe I haven't experienced personally, but if you can root it in character and what that character would be going through, I think that's a way into it. And the beauty of working on a television show is that you also have a ton of other incredible minds in the writer's room who can help and offer perspectives and pitch things to you. And that collaboration is invaluable when talking about subjects like that, because even if, I have seen domestic abuse up close and personal, other people may have also seen it and can offer something different and can bring some conversation. So that's when being in the writer's room and having that collaborative space is so, so valuable.
It is. It really, truly is such a collaborative process, and it has to be in order to work properly. Yeah. Like, it really does. Even from actors. I mean, you have to give and take with the actors you're working with. You can't just make the scene all about you, or you'll never get a good scene. Like, if you're just worried about yourself and your performance, like,
it's that magic comes somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. You've got to be able to listen. Is a huge actors. It's what me and Savannah the other day, we kept doing a scene and she's like, I'm not listening to you. I'm like, well, listen to me. I was like, what?
What do they say? Acting is reacting, a lot of the time.
Yep. You gotta listen. So it sounds like in writing too, it's about listening and hearing other people's stories and really.
Oh, goodness. So much so. Absolutely. Because we all have, a piece to bring to it.
Yes, but it's amazing. And there's always, I'm assuming, and I don't know if the proper word is devil's advocate, but there must always be someone in the room that also does have to take the opposing view of any scenario to try to formulate a very well-rounded opinion. Does that usually happen in the writer's room too? It's kind of a random off-the-cuff question, but I just wonder, is that person exist too?
It's not just necessarily a single person, but I think it's all of our responsibility to look at a story from every perspective we can. Yeah. Advocating for every person in the story. Like, even, I don't know, like you have to, even if someone's the villain, that's why we love villains on television a lot of the time though too. It's like, even if someone's a villain, like you have to know why they're a villain, and you have to be able to write from that. And that will lead you down different paths. So we will absolutely be in the room and we will debate everything, so I think that helps us get the best story.
Yeah, it does. And that's what then we read your scripts after you guys have done all the work and we're like, this is so good.
You're so funny.
See,
I can't.
Fumble. Okay, let me ask some fandom questions.
Ooh, okay.
Wait. What character would be your best friend in real life from either show?
Oh, that's a good question. Okay. I feel like Taryn and Taryn from Grey's Anatomy would be like, we would just be so salty all the time and like, but in like the funniest, sassiest way. I think Taryn is so fun. Like, I love me some Taryn. I love everybody. But I think Taryn and I would particularly be given some delicious side eye when the time called for it,
Does that, since I'll admit, I haven't been following along Grey's, do you guys have a friendship on Grey's at all? As you do, right? You have scenes together.
We have scenes together.
Yeah.
Like, I'd like to think that we have some sort of rapport. Yeah. but we're usually in a lot of group scenes, like with the other residents. JC, who plays Taryn, I adore, love so much. So yeah, I think Taryn would be fun.
Okay. I love that. I love that answer. And now
Wait,
I'm gonna put it out in the universe.
I was going to say, I have a question for you. Do you think that Xander and Maya would be friends? Wait, did I cut out?
You cut out, but it was because my mom was calling, so I had to ignore it. I was like, sorry, Mom.
She's like, are you on the side of the road, daughter?
Probably.
Or in a park?
She's like, where are you? I'm sorry, what was your question?
I said, do you think that Xander and Maya would be friends?
Yes, hands down. Not even a question. I think Maya would like Xander because she's so different. He's so different than her in the sense that, like, Maya needs some Xander in her life, like she needs some Stefania or some Karina in her life. You know, it's like she's so uptight about so many things and so focused on work that she needs someone that can provide a little humor and happiness in her life. I think she'd fight it first, personally. Was this a Maya question or Danielle question? I think you meant, well, who would Maya be friends with, right? I wasn't even sure. Okay,
I love it.
I guess that for me, being a friend looking out for Maya, she needs some Xander in her life. Maya would fight it.
Okay, iconic. That's what I wanted to know.
Oh, Maya. Talking about villains, there's so many things I do have to say, because I've played a lot of characters in the past on other shows too that would be technically villains. And some people love to hate the villains, and some people really love the villains because you have to play villains like they have a reason for why they are the way they are. Like no one was born that way. And I know that even Maya has done some things that I remember when I got the script, I was like, I'm sorry, Maya's doing what? I'm sorry, what? And like just being like, you do have to find the heart in, or not the heart, but the realism in the situation. Like what would bring somebody to do this? What in their past makes them think that this is okay or justified? And it's what makes amazing characters when you guys add these kind of random off the cuff things that, like, whenever an actor says, and I have my own opinions, but whenever an actor's like, oh, my character would never do that, I'm like, no, you don't know that. Like, I did read those scripts and I was like, why is Maya doing this? I don't want her to do this. But her doing that made her so much more nuanced.
Yeah.
Because now I've got to say, why did she do this? And we've got to find ways for her to fix it. And it's a problem.
It makes her more layered and complicated, or any character. And you or me as an actor digging into that and figuring out what is real about that and what makes it true is where the work comes in, and also like where you find the magic. Yeah.
And it really is where the magic is. I was scared shitless to do some of the scenes that Maya had to do season 3. Like I was so scared. I was like, I don't know how this is going to be perceived. I am scared. But I went into it like head on and like did it and loved the challenge. And I'm so happy with the journey that Maya's gone on. So, and I'm sure everyone else feels the same. I think, you know, talking to Barrett, like how she feels with her character and the journey her character specifically too is going on this season, and it's going to continue to go on. Like it's amazing the stuff you guys write for us. But
some good stuff coming up for sure.
I'll ask this last question, I think, or should I just end on that one? What's been the hardest moment to watch on each show? I mean, you have a lot more episodes in Grey's, and I know you've seen every single one. So
the hardest moment to watch on each show.
Mm-hmm. That's a loaded question when a show's had 18 seasons.
Yeah, it was okay. This is a tough one. On Station 19, it was probably oh my goodness. It was probably the mid-season finale last season with the girls in the house, and then seeing, you know, kind of guns get drawn and Sullivan and arrested and Dean. Like that was really hard and visceral to watch. Important. That was definitely a tough one. And then on Grey's Anatomy, oh my goodness. That's
actually a great answer. That's a great answer. It was hard. It was uncomfortable. It was like too real.
Mm-hmm.
And it was you're right. It was hard to shoot. Anyways, and on Grey's.
On Grey's, I'm trying to think of like hard to watch. I'm gonna go old school. I mean, come on, Denny dying forever. Denny dying, and not only him dying, but like Izzy laying in that bed in that prom dress, that pink, like looking like a little Barbie, just trying to get her dream house, honey. And it all just, oh, it hurt. It so hurt.
So I'm going to tell you a secret that I'm doing. I'm watching Grey's Anatomy from episode 1. You'd be so proud.
Oh my goodness.
I just started season 3. So I got through season 1, got through season 2. And that Denny stuff, oh my God. I was bawling. I was like, no. And just the way it was done, which was like, so like, she goes up in the elevator, the door shut, and then he just dies.
Oh my gosh. And then she gives that speech, and then Alex lifts her out of the bed, and Christina and George and Meredith and Kelly are all sitting around. I mean, come on.
But then Alex too, like, he's redeemed after being like, ah. And then in the end, like, he got the heart, but then it didn't matter. Like, so many emotions. It was so well done. So
we're gonna have a full-on sidebar.
Yeah, I was trying to not announce that I was rewatching, like watching Grays for the first time all the way through until I'd gotten further, but now it's out. So
we will text.
We will text.
I mean, buckle up, sis, because it's a journey.
It's so good. It's so good.
These shows really know how to do what needs to be done.
And I knew it was good, but really to actually get this invested from episode 1, I was like, oh my gosh, I get it now. I get how it can go 18 seasons and you never want it to stop. These characters are too good.
100%.
Anyways, I now know that the show is going to start in 7 minutes on the West Coast. So we're going to wrap this up.
Can I ask you a question before we wrap this up?
Absolutely.
Okay. A little question I cooked up for you, because I know the people want to know. So you and I have talked about this before, and like, you know, the audience that Station 19 has and whatnot, and how a big portion of that audience are, you know, younger girls, young women, femmes, non-binary folks who really look up to Maya Bishop as a character. So I was just curious on like what you want those viewers to take away from your character and what you hope to impart.
I hope that, and also too, I think this plays into, I didn't know what I ever hoped. I didn't know. I knew that I loved this character from the moment I read her on the page, and I know I've loved playing her. And to me, she's a real person, like, who's nuanced and layered and damaged and at times needs help and is vulnerable and is working on things. So I didn't know until I started getting like fan mail and responses and realizing how much of an impact this character was making and how much representation matters. I knew it mattered, but I don't think it hit me as hard as I realized it did until it did. And then I was reading letters and realizing like it's just so important that she exists and that this story exists and that you what?
I feel things.
I
like,
do too.
Honey, representation is so important, like so important. And I love that there are a lot of people who have Maya Bishop to look up to. And I love that there are a lot of people who have like Xander Perez to look up to. I love that there are a lot of people who have Andy Herrera to look up to. Like, I just think it's so important.
Agreed. And I think it's even the bittersweet stuff is when I get letters from women that are older that are telling me that they wish they had this representation when they were younger, and how lucky the younger generation is to have the representation, but how important it is too, and like all those things. It's just really important, I think, and I'm happy to play it. But then she's a real person. Like I fell in love with her because she was a real flawed, layered person, not knowing she was going to make such an impact. And like you said, representation matters. So I think I answered the question. This is where I'm bad. I'm good at asking questions, but man, when it comes to answering, I'm like, wait, was that the question?
You answered it, and you answered it.
Okay, good. Well, good. Well, anything you want to tell or tell the fans about tonight's episode? Sneaks, no spoilers, but whatever you want to say.
Okay, no spoilers for the West Coast because it's on in 5 minutes. But tonight's episode, as you probably already know, is a Christmas episode. And I'm really excited for you to, in particular, meet one of the families that we are telling a story about in this episode, because they are a family who is just very, like, I don't know, like, I fell in love with those characters. I fell in love with the actors who played, like, Jock and Stacy. Like, they were all just so incredible, and it was really important to me to have this, like, big, beautiful Black family who represented so much. I mean, they have, like, they talk about it, this isn't a huge spoiler, but, like, they have a son who's gay, and like a daughter who is, like, in her teen years. Like, I don't know, and I loved being able to depict that family in their fullness.
I'm not even going to say anything, but the stuff he wrote about the family and the speech he gives, yes. Just yes. Just yes. Everyone, just yes. Yes.
And thank you for having me on this live. This is my first live I've ever done.
Congrats!
Yeah. Yes. And I'm honored that I got to do it with you and for Station 19.
I'm honored that we got together. Thank you so much.
Oh, are we freezing?
Did you freeze? Oh, you froze.
The end of this live?
Okay, we're going to go before it's lost forever. I love you to death. I will talk to you later. Pancakes
Adore
in the future.
You. Yes, everyone, if you enjoy the episode and you feel the love that it was made with, across the board, cast and crew, everybody. Mwah.
Mwah. Bye, beautiful. Bye.
I have to figure out how to leave this live now. That's the question.
I'll do it. I'll click the buttons. I do too. I'm horrible at the ending of it. Ready? Okay.
Bye.
Bye.